Hi. The last video we did was about fall trees, and I like this one. I want to continue doing some trees, but I want to do something different. I'm going to try and create fog on my trees. So I'm going to use my gray paper, and a couple colors I want to use are cobalt blue, cobalt U. I'm going to try either the classic green or the thicket green, and maybe a little bit of black. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the whites in folk art. Folk art has several whites, and one that I use a lot is wicker white. The other one is titanium white. Titanium white will give you a brighter white. So for this, I'm going to use the wicker white because it's just a little bit softer. And of course, I'm going to use my floating medium. The brushes that I'm going to try and use are, I want to use my natural hair mop. And this is a size 3/4 inch. I'm going to use my 12-inch flat and my number 10 filbert. Okay, so you all know that I keep a big brush. This is a 1-inch, and I basically keep this, especially when I'm working on canvases. I can get it wet and erase paint. It's harder to do on paper because the paper just kind of sucks up the paint, and so you can't really get it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add both of my greens. This is the sap green. It's a little bit darker. And I'm just practicing. I'm not really doing anything fabulous, just practicing. And it probably will be a little bit weird because I've never done this before. But the best way to kind of show you how to correct mistakes or how not to get frustrated, basically, is to go ahead and make mistakes. So I might make a lot of mistakes today. And there's my white. Okay, I'll probably get the white later. The black I'll keep for later too. So I've wet my brush. Oops, it's a little bit drippy, so I'm going to dry it out just a little bit. And I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take the classic green and a little bit of blue. And I'm going to kind of mix those together, and I kind of have a feeling they're going to give me what the thicket looks like. It's a little bit darker. Yeah, kind of. Okay, that's the two colors mixed. And yeah, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make some trunks. And I'm going to do all different sizes of trunks. Some of them long, some of them not so long. And I could have done this with my filbert, but I'm going to use this one. Okay, so there we go. We have some trunks. So I'm going to get my filbert, and if you watched my last video on the fall leaves, the reason I like the filbert is because of the roundness of the brush. It makes leaves look really kind of cool. So I'm going to pick up just a little bit of any color. And these are going to be evergreen trees. And I just watched a video on this. And you can use a bigger one if you want. The bigger one will give you a bigger tree definition, which is kind of cool. But I'm just keep going back and forth like that. You can kind of see my trees starting to come alive. And you can add different greens in if you want. And let's do this one. And you can see at the top where I'm making really small branches, I tilt my brush just a little bit so that it kind of makes smaller, because once you start getting down into here, it doesn't matter because these kind of take on a life of their own. They start getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, let's do a green one. So just a little bit on that side, a little bit on this side. And then I start growing. And they're starting to look like evergreens that might be out in the forest. I just watched a video of a girl showing how to make fog, and it was just fascinating. So I had to try it. I'm just practicing. I'm not teaching you anything. You're welcome to go and find teachers, but right now I'm just practicing, and I'm going to go ahead and make that up. And when you get into the forest, you know that trees are not perfect. They kind of come, some of them are weird shaped like that. They have missing branches. They have missing leaves. There we go. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of white into this one. Oops, it's just a little bit too much white. Make it just like almost a blue spruce. This one would probably be a good color to put in the background. And I have just a couple more, so I'm going to go doop, 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 and then they get bigger. And I'm going to go up just a little bit. If you go out and look at some trees in the forest, you're going to see different sizes, different shapes, different colors. They really kind of have personalities almost. Okay. Let's finish this one. Just a little bit there. And I want a little bit on the top. And I'll get just a little bit more green. Okay. So those are my trees. And I'm not sure the fog is going to show up real well, but we're going to try it. Okay, I want to make sure this is dry, so I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so this is where I'm going to use my, it's a goat hair natural mop brush. And I want to get it wet, but I don't want it to be soppy, so I'm going to go ahead and lay it on my paper towel to get most of the wet out. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up just a very little bit of white. And again, I'm practicing, so let's hope this works out. And I'm just going to kind of splash this across this. And then I want to kind of keep working it so that, see, this would have been nicer if it had been a darker gray, but that's okay. I'm going to get just a little bit more water. Oh, wow. Now, while it's wet, it's going to show a little bit darker. It's going to hide it. But once it's dry, it will show better that it's fog. I really kind of like that. I'm going to try just a little bit more white. And remember, you can actually wet your paper. That's what the video I watched, she actually wet her paper, but I'm using the mop, and she used a different brush. So I'm using a mop brush, which it holds the water a little better than just wetting your paper. Okay. Now, actually, if I had used a darker paper, you could see the fog just a little better. And I'm gonna do just a little bit more. Oh yeah, that works really well. I really like these mop brushes that I've gotten. There's so much you can do with them, especially if you're doing backgrounds and things. And I don't know if you can actually see the fog that I've put in here. Yeah, you kind of can. But that just keeping the brush wet, and you can see I'm just kind of doing it down at the base of my trees. Okay, when you clean out your mop brush, go a little bit gentle on it because it is natural hair and it won't take a whole lot of agitation before you start losing some of your hairs. Okay, let me pitch this. The next thing I want to try, and I will be practicing this through the week without you, but I'm going to put some black on here. I'm going to use a little bit of black. And I've gone ahead and gotten my rake brush, and when you look at this brush, it's not the same length the whole way to the end of the brush. There are some shorter hairs, there are some longer hairs, and that kind of makes it kind of nice. I mean, you don't get full coverage, so to speak, like you do with a regular flat brush. So I'm going to try this. I don't know how it's going to work out, but I've wet my brush. And let me see if I can show you that. Can you see that just a little bit better on the dark paint? I'm going to go ahead and pick up some black. Not much. But then I'm going to go ahead and stripe. I suppose if I had a bigger brush, it would cover a little better. But I'm trying to give the effect of there being more trees. Let's try it down. Oh yeah, down's just a little bit better. Like there's a background of trees here. Now I might try to find another rake brush like this that's a little bit wider. And I'm going to vary the sizes. Some of them are going to be tall. Because what this is going to give the effect is of being a row of trees in the shadows, like in a forest. And let's do that. Okay. It's not perfect. I'm really going to have to perfect this one a little bit because I didn't quite get it the way I was hoping I would get it. Let me clean out my brush a little bit. I'm going to put that in there to soak. And so then again, I'm going to go ahead and take this, and then you can make other trees in here. Oh yeah, I probably want to start up a little bit higher so that it just, and yeah, I can see where it would have been better if I could have gotten them just a little bit closer together, these. But then this will look like a forest in behind. And we can make some shadow ones. That's not quite what I wanted, but I'm going to practice it, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I do this. But I hope you kind of got the idea of how to make fog, because the fog really kind of was fun to work with. Okay, I hope you had fun with this. I just kind of did, and I'm going to be practicing this. Hope you will too, so that we can perfect it. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.